Welcome to Pub Day. It is Reading with Robin for A Mighty Blaze. The hesitation is I still can't believe when this is working streaming live. I'm like, we're streaming live, and I'm also going to record, and I'm very excited to be here. Pub Day is a huge day. Tuesdays mean pub days. That's when all of our books come out. It's a cause for celebration, and I'm thrilled to be here on behalf of A Mighty Blaze with Jacqueline Friedland, whose book I can hold. You can hold one too if you'd like. That's not.
I have one right here.
You just happen to. Now, that's a finished copy, right?
This is a finished copy, yes.
The galley, yeah. But I didn't have to point that out because they look so similar. So That's Not a Thing by Jacqueline Friedland is just out today. And we're going to talk to Jackie about this. And we were talking off air. We spoke 4 weeks ago when the insanity started with all of the on tours and events and all of this being canceled. And I reached out saying, hey, who wants to chat? So you and I have chatted, but that was like 100 chats ago. I barely remember you.
Awesome.
No, absolutely not true. I'm going to do a proper intro. Jacqueline Friedland graduated magna cum laude from both the University of Pennsylvania and NYU Law School. Amazing. She practiced as commercial litigator and in New York. After determining that office life did not suit her, she began teaching legal writing and lawyering skills at the Benjamin Cardozo School of Law in Manhattan and working on her first book in limited spare time. Finally deciding to embrace her passion and pursue writing full time, Jackie returned to school to earn her Master's of Fine Arts from Sarah Lawrence College, graduating just 4 years ago in 2016. While not writing, Jackie is an avid reader of all things fiction, loves to exercise, watch movies with her family, listen to music, make lists, and dream about exotic locations. All things that are really handy to have as hobbies at this time. She lives in New York, and welcome to A Mighty Blaze, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And before we get into anything, I just have to say that this venture of A Mighty Blaze and Reading with Robin, you guys are incredible. And I hope you know it because you really are helping a lot of us out right now.
Thank you. Yeah, A Mighty Blaze, and I missed the office. We have like an 11 o'clock Monday, and there was something else going on here, and I feel so bad missing those because I've never been involved in like a business venture that involved more than myself. So it's like so professional, and the team, and it really is a team, has just been amazing from start to finish. Organization, communication, and really getting a hold of authors whose books are pubbing and celebrating also the independent bookstores and our celebrity spotlight and drinks on Friday. So everybody go to A Mighty Blaze you are on Facebook, like it if you haven't, and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah, when people are determined and there's a passionate community, it is amazing. And no sleep. It is amazing what you can accomplish. But I love your bio. Did you alter that to fit the quarantine time, or was
I did not. I've been saying that the quarantine suits my personality. I've sort of always been a homebody. I'm an introvert as an author. I thought I could do this indefinitely. I'm actually starting to get a little bit antsy. But the only parts of the quarantine that really are a struggle for me are the fear and the constant cleaning, and keeping my kids calm and happy with being stuck with so little to do.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, it seemed like, well, I didn't believe the 2-week thing ever. But who knew 4, 5, 6? I mean, we didn't know, but 2 seems manageable. Sure. Yeah, because I remember we chatted about that, and I'm also pretty well suited I have plenty to do and projects to keep me busy. And if it's a nice day, we go outside with Benny, and sometimes I just go outside without Benny. And but with the children, and so you have 4. Are they all 4 at home?
All 4 at home.
Yeah, that's right. They were outside doing something with the dog.
Yes, they were giving the dog a haircut. Oh,
that's right, a haircut. How'd that work?
She looks like she got attacked by a bear.
As a grown bat?
No, it's actually, if anything, it's worse as it's growing in. Like the first couple of days, I sort of thought like, oh, this is okay. And as it's coming in, she looks like she got mauled.
Oh, puppy.
But
Oh,
eventually, by the time quarantine's over, she'll probably look good again.
that's so funny. Well, I hope that we can all say the same thing for ourselves. I mean, I remember when I spoke to you, I think I had my hair done or colored or something like that Wednesday. And then I actually did it myself, which is gone already. So that does thus prove that it is at least 10 days better to get it done professionally than yourself. But I'm kind of like, there's only so much to do. And you're right, there's a lot of dishes.
Yes. And for me, it's not just the dishes, it's everything that we're bringing into the house, the groceries, all of that. And I mean, I have three of my kids are boys, so there's a lot of food that comes in. And it's, I worry, so I wash
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
they keep needing to be fed. And right, there's a lot of washing and cleaning. We brought something in from takeout. It was contactless and all that. But the administrations to get that thing in the house, because then you have to really think. Wait, but then I just touched it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. It's exhausting, and yeah. And on top of all of the being home, there are the stories and the worries and have where's this going and all
I
that.
keep searching the internet for articles that say like you really can't catch it from this or that, and you don't have to clean things and it's fine. But I have yet to find those articles. All I'm finding is you can catch it.
And usually on the internet, you can find anything.
Yep.
Like anything that you think of is possible. And if you can't find that, I guess we got to be.
We're all in trouble.
Yeah, we're in trouble. And you can find Jackie at JacquelineFriedland.com. You can find her on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Are you finding like more time for those activities? Also, the book just came out today, so there's a lot of celebrating and posting. That's not a thing with the great title. So how are you managing all of that on top of the cleaning and the kids and all of that?
Well, I told everyone today I'm off duty for family, anything relating to the family.
Good.
I actually cannot keep up with the internet today, which is awesome. When my last book came out, it was, there was a lot of internet activity, but not like this, because not every single person was sitting at home in front of a screen. And I actually feel very lucky to have all these people, sort of a little more focused than they might otherwise be if they had all their normal activities to attend to. But I was starting to say before that I feel like this has actually been my best day in quarantine. I think because it's a party. I'm getting texts, I'm getting Facebook posts, I'm getting mentions, I'm getting comments. I feel, and it's been so long since we've interacted face to face in person that these comments and things, I really feel like I've been hanging out with people all day, and it's been quite nice.
I think that is a big takeaway, because as much as it used to feel less personal with the tweeting or just leaving a comment, I feel like the ones that people are leaving and really where people are connecting, it's more meaningful on both ends. So I'm glad that you're having all of that. And I think you should tell your family it's not just one day. It's kind of like Hanukkah. It just lasts.
Right.
The miracle of Book Pub Day. It goes on for 8 nights, I guess. That's not what it is. And more people are focused on their devices and certainly reading, and that's not a thing, is such a great quarantine book. It really is. I mean, it's a joy, and it really gives, I don't know, it's the kind of writing that I am able to focus on and enjoy when it's not a time that I really can, because there's some books that I really just can't focus on. And the books that people are really asking titles, and I'm getting a lot of that, so I've done a lot of recommending I'm like, it is a thing. That's not a thing to read a thing. So tell everybody, give the little pitch on the book, and without giving it away, of course, and who our characters are and where the idea for the story came from.
Sure. So That's Not a Thing is about a young woman named Meredith Altman, who is sort of at the precipice. Her life is just beginning. She's got a great legal career ahead of her. She's engaged to this, amazing neonatologist who used to be a football player at his Ivy League college. And it's like the world is at her feet. And just as she's about to embrace all of this, she goes out to celebrate her engagement, and the owner of the restaurant where they are turns out to be none other than her first great love, aka the one that got away, she had previously been engaged to him, and tragedy struck, and he disappeared on an open-ended trip to Europe, and she didn't even know he was back in town. And now she's faced with a decision of reconnecting in the way she'd like to with X, and jeopardizing, everything she's got lined up for her future, or moving forward without looking back. And I would
do that.
One of my favorite things about the book, though, is that almost the entire book takes place in New York City, and there's a lot of walking through the city streets and seeing landmarks. And somebody called it a staycation book, that you could travel to New York by reading the book. And I thought that was a cool thing about it, so I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I love reading books that take place in my favorite cities. And when authors are so deeply connected to a city and they become a character in the book, you imagine yourself walking down the road and taking that left, and where is that diner, and it especially now, that's pretty much the way we're getting around. So I really enjoyed that nod.
Thank you.
And
so I didn't answer you though.
Here, yes.
Right, yes, the New York City skyline. I didn't answer about where the idea for the book came from.
I never know if somebody answers. Doesn't matter, Jackie. Just say whatever you want.
I have an answer, which is that my mother was engaged to somebody before she met my dad. And it was her high school sweetheart. They were together for years. And then their engagement ended in a very similar to what happens in the book kind of a way. And I grew up kind of knowing that story, and it always fascinated me. And when I was getting my master's in creative writing, I actually wrote a short story that was based really just on the breakup. And people said, that's so unrealistic, that would never happen. So I've actually toned down the true story. And then I just kind of took it. I imagine it sort of like silly putty, and I just took it and I twisted it and I pulled, and I this whole story grew out of that seed.
I love that. I love when people say this could never have happened, or because it is stranger than fiction. But yeah, like this is, I mean, I kind of think of what we're going through now, although we know there have been books and movies written about pandemics, but if they were sort of showing us like footage of what things would be like in a month, a month and a half ago, we would have been like,
no way, impossible.
It's not going to happen here for sure. It's not going to happen here, right? But I love, and I do remember, so we spoke, 4 weeks ago, and I remember talking about that, and the stories that stay with you, the stories that, which is one of the reasons why sometimes, you just tell a story because something reminds you of it, and children listen. Wonder where it might wind up one day, because there's nothing like family folklore and telling those stories. And usually it comes up when maybe a child's going through a similar time period, and it's like, oh, you know what happened? I don't know if this happens in your family, but every once in a while I'll think, after all these years, there can't possibly be another story. And you hear one, and I'm like, we never discussed that, right?
100%. My mother will still tell me things, and it's, now? You're telling me this now?
And it's not necessarily a hidden thing. It just hadn't come up. Like
right.
Children don't have the entire history, because some of these stories don't really feel very, like, it's not like, oh, I got to tell you this story. It could be, I mean, the story that about your mom and her high school boyfriend certainly is a story, but I find myself being surprised every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, we don't know that story. So that was your jumping off point. And it's a great book club pick. It's a book that will make you sort of think of The Path Chosen, Family Secrets, or why relationships work at certain times and not at certain times. And really having characters sort of figure things out, which is what really, as people were constantly doing, reevaluating and making different choices, and who that will affect, where the fallout is. And so the book is just out today, but certainly there are pre-readers, and you've heard from readers, and I would urge people to go on Goodreads and go on Amazon, and please leave 5-star reviews. It really does make a difference. And personally, you're not a book critic, so I'm telling you, just leave 5 stars. No, I'm not leaving you to your own advice, to your own devices, and go to JacquelineFriedland.com and find her on Twitter, follow her, and follow on Instagram, like the Facebook pages. These are all really important things to do always. And on Pub Day, it's like a little extra thank you to the author. So that's my little pitch there. So talk about, well, you talk about, I read that there are pieces of you on all the pages. And have you ever wanted to use something that might be not too identifiable, because it's always sort of an amalgamation, but where you just couldn't figure out how to use something without it being problematic in some way?
For sure. I mean, what's interesting, you know, my first book was historical fiction. And what's been really interesting in switching to contemporary fiction is that I've had a few friends who've, you know, read ARCs who've asked me, they think everything's about my life and it's not. And they're like, but that's not how it happened. That didn't happen to you. And then like, when did that happen? And I keep saying it's not me. You know, there are things that occur in the book, like right at the beginning, you learn that the main character's mother is battling cancer, and she's in college. And when I was in college, my mother did have cancer, but they were different cancers and they played out differently. And so I once heard an author say that there are parts of a book that are emotionally autobiographical without the actual content being autobiographical. And that's sort of how I feel about parts of this book, but certainly not all of it. You know, it's the whole thing. It's sort of, you know, I think like we as authors are just, when we're living our lives, we're out there collecting material. And so, you know, as far as like things that I've not wanted to use, I do feel very protective of, I don't really feel private about anything in my life. I'm like an open book, but I feel very protective of violating the privacy of friends and family. So I never know what's going to upset somebody. So I try to stay away.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and as a writer, that sometimes it's hard, I can imagine, because it's such good stuff, but if it's too close, you know, you can't say, well, yeah, that same thing happened to somebody else. You wouldn't know them.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I've written some personal essays and things that, you know, just mention like my life growing up or something my sister did when we were little kids. And I always send it to my family before I have it posted. Like, is there anything in here that's not okay?
Well, that's really kind, and it keeps the family together and makes everybody feel okay about it. But it's so difficult to not, when you're a writer, use that. I mean, because you know, sometimes things will be unfolding in front of me and I'll think, oh my God, this is so good. For somebody else to write, it's not something I'm going to write about, but it is countered with somebody's privacy. And I've heard authors talk about overstepping there and getting into trouble. Of course, I'm always tempted to say, which book, which part? Right. Oh, well, you've recognized that.
Well, then you know it's the good stuff.
Yes, but like then it's really even more. It makes you even more curious. So it's like that first guy, The Life We Choose. I was watching Little Fires Everywhere last night. So are you watching it?
I haven't started yet.
Oh, it's really good. Well, then I won't tell you. But something happened in Wednesday's episode where it was sort of reminding me of, that's not a thing. Was this the original title? Because it's such a perfect title.
Thank you. It was the original title.
Yeah, it's such a great title. That's not a thing. The t-shirt, the movie. So what else are you doing to keep yourself sane during
Well, I'm working on my next book, which I'm getting towards the end of. And that's it's also contemporary fiction, not a romance though. I suppose it would be described as women's fiction. It's about a case of surrogacy gone wrong in a way that's totally unexpected.
Wow.
So that's been taking up some of my time. And then we are officially on school break from my kids' school this week. It's spring break. But I've been dealing with a lot of homeschool technical issues. So there's that.
It's it's as if like new math isn't frustrating enough. Now parents have to learn how to do distant learning. And I was wondering if vacations, like I know it's school break because it's usually the week after Easter, but I'm thinking, school day isn't like a full day, or how do you have a break? But you still need to be able to step away from the screens and just
I mean, I suppose, but it was, I thought the structure was nice. Now it's like, oh, we're on vacation from vacation. And,
Right. Isn't that weird? You're
another
on,
jigsaw puzzle. Great.
I know. Let me just finish this one sentence and I'll be right there to find a piece of the sky. I'm glad to hear that you're able to write. I mean, I think some people, some authors are finding like it's just too much or they don't like what they're writing but you're on a schedule and that sounds like I like what you've shared so far. And are you able to, do you read while you are also writing?
I do. I do. I think if I didn't read, I would die. I can't go to sleep at night unless I read. I read when I blow dry my hair. It's just a part of my
How do you do that? You have it on a stand?
No, it's Kindle. So as long as I can do, the quick swipe, like
Okay.
it's a full page, and then my hair could be a little neater, I suppose, if I.
No, it looks great because I was thinking like, of course, because I read a paper book, I'm imagining the book and then the page is blowing.
Oh,
When I have my hair done and I'm reading and I'm like, you're blowing my pages. So I was thinking, how do you have a secret for how the pages do not blow along with it? Yeah, I mean, I used to read in such places as online at the grocery store where we don't go anymore.
Yep. The pickup line at school.
Anything.
Any
place. But now it's just sort of home or outside. It's inside now or inside or outside reading. We have our next interview coming up in just a few moments. So I actually have to stay on time because I don't want to leave Joanna hanging. So JacquelineFriedland.com, that's not a thing. It's out today. It's pub day. Send a little message, tweet, leave an Instagram comment, which is really great, and keep the party going. And Amazon and Goodreads reviews are a lovely thing to do for the wonderful author in your life. And look forward to hearing more about the next one. We should just keep checking in.
That's right, every 4 weeks.
I know, where will we be? And happy pub day, Jacqueline Friedland. That's not a thing. All best. And I can't wait to see Puppy's hair too.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure. There's follow-up here. This is Reading with Robin. On behalf of Mighty Blaze, I'll be back in just a few minutes with Joanna Hirschon. Then take a quick break. This is like so professional. And take a quick break and be back. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.